you going to Stillwater again? Football game?
Tour the College of Engineering.
Well, that sounds thrilling. Are you giving like a keynote speech or something?
No, I'm going to be a mentor to some engineering students.
Tell them to not do engineering.
Yeah, I'm going to say you chose the wrong profession, dude.
It's not too
Sorry
late.
about
Change
that.
your major.
I mean, engineering degree, it teaches you to think.
It teaches you how to learn.
Challenges your brain for 4 years. So for that, it's worth it.
helps.
It's worth it. But then you need to continue learning other things.
Yeah.
Well, for anybody who didn't get an engineering degree and wants to make tons of money, that's a good segue into the show. Anyway, what is up, and welcome back to How to Invest in Commercial Real Estate. We are back with another super exciting show today because we just did the cold plunge, or we did it last week, and we're showing it today, but these guys did a cold plunge today.
Yeah.
We do it every day. Or at
Every
least I
day.
do. Every day.
Me too.
So yeah, check out that video. We encourage everybody to give the cold plunge a try. I feel like it's a great way to start your day. Like I said in the video, you'll see it's teaching yourself to do the hard thing, and I just feel like it starts the day off right.
Yeah, I did mine less than an hour ago. I'm feeling great.
Yeah,
Braden?
Braden, you weren't sure you liked it.
It was a lot. It was a lot. It's like, I don't have any tattoos, but it's like getting a tattoo. People make it seem like it's not a big deal, and then you hear some people, it's like, oh yeah, it hurts like a bitch. You know?
No, it's definitely uncomfortable.
I see the videos of it on Instagram, and I'm like, oh, I can totally do that. These people are like reading novels, just sitting in a bathtub.
I actually think watching some of these promo videos for the ice baths that literally the water's got to be 85 degrees.
Yeah.
They're just sinking into it like this is the best thing ever, and I'm thinking, no way, man, you can't even breathe when you get in that
couldn't
water.
talk. I got out and I was mumbling. I couldn't even say words because I was just so cold to the core. But yeah, the dopamine rush was nice for sure.
I like it.
Dopamine was nice.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be great.
So once we get in, we're going to tell our audience why we do this.
Yeah, I've been wondering that.
We're going to walk in 3, 2, 1. Woo! So it's 32 outside right now. Woo! Braden, to the neck. I don't know why you're panting like a dog, bro. Brian, read us why anybody should consider a cold plunge.
All right, if I can. Decrease inflammation.
Okay?
Offer a huge rush of endorphins.
A huge rush of endorphins.
Spike dopamine.
I love the dopamine, baby.
Boost injury recovery. Reduce swelling.
Okay, it's getting better.
Increase testosterone. Promote lymphatic drainage. Regulate hormones and
All right.
accelerate metabolism.
So why I like doing it, and I've talked to a bunch of my friends and family about it, is I love how it wakes me up in the morning. I love that, there's so few things in life we can control. And, forcing yourself to do the hard thing, right? It gives you confidence that you can take on life's challenges. And for me, it's just one area of like, you know what, life, I'm gonna effing do it. And it's terrible. I hate being cold. I hate cold water. But it really has helped me just start my day off thinking, I can do the hard thing.
Yeah, like you accomplished something. It also gives you an energy rush for a few hours.
Yeah, I definitely feel good after I do it. The colder the water is, the better the rush is afterwards. Woo!
2 minutes to go.
We're gonna start an army of podcast watchers that all get in the water every morning. My head literally buzzes. It's a weird feeling.
Come on, Pete. Come on in. Feels great.
As terrible as it is, when you get out, within 30 seconds or a minute, you're gonna feel so much better. And so you just have to ask yourself, can I do something for 3 to 5 minutes that's totally miserable? And knowing that in a minute or two of getting out, you're gonna feel amazing.
All right, Braden. Only 1 minute.
Great dopamine
1 minute.
rush.
Let me do anything for a minute.
All right, going under again, let's do it. Woo!
All right, going under.
You're definitely in a state of shock. You're gonna need to breathe.
Braden, you're the only one that hasn't gone under.
Yeah, let's do it. Go under once. Hey, you're almost done. Go under. I'm gonna splash your face if you don't go under. No. Go under. Go under.
That's cold. Okay.
It's better under, I promise.
Okay. Move. 5.5 minutes. We're good. Boom. 5.5 minutes.
Oh gosh, I can't feel my legs.
Oh, it's hard. Yeah, it's hard to walk. Why'd we do that? Because it's awesome.
Testosterone.
Now, everybody that watches the podcast is now going to do that just because we did it. And they're going to love it.
Dopamine's always nice.
All right, so a couple things we want to go over today. You know, we thought I thought I would talk about a deal that we lost, because we talk about a lot like deals that we win, and you know, there's a lot of times where the deal of the decade comes around and it just slips through our fingertips. And I had that happen to me in the last couple of weeks. A LIHTC portfolio. So LIHTC stands for Low Income Housing Tax Credit Deals. And we won't get into the specifics about exactly how you turn a deal into a low-income tax credit deal. But basically, the government does offer tax credits to either build, develop, or rehab units, as long as you are offering them to people that make less than a certain income, less than, you know, certain medium income for the area.
Yeah, it's got to be within it's got to be in the 98th percentile of the median income for like that specific location. And LIHTC is funded through some sort of federal agency, and they fund the state agency for low income housing, and that state agency actually gives you the tax credits. And developers sometimes sell those tax credits to build the LIHTC properties. But you can, like Joel was saying, these LIHTC properties, you can buy them existing, but it's kind of hard to do.
Well, and this was a portfolio, and they were actually very well maintained, 2000 vintage assets that we were going to be able to purchase at a really good cost basis. And so we were all in trying to make this deal work. And I think the ask price was $28 million for the portfolio.
What is that per door?
It was, call it roughly 40, 42 a door, which is in this market is super, super cheap. So we knew we had potentially $20 million in upside on this in years into the future, either through increasing the rents to the max allowable. A couple of them were rolling off the LIHTC program, so you can take a market rate, and then they take a huge jump up in value.
Right. So the difference in 98% of the median value, where you have to lease to them at that certain rate and market value, that may be hundreds of dollars a month per unit. You have 500 units you're buying. That's a massive pop in NOI after it expires off of the program.
Yeah. And so ask price was $28 million or $28,500,000. I think our first offer was that. Like we said, we want these. We'll pay the ask. And then they did a best and final, and we came in at we didn't want to lose them, so we came in at $30,500,000. Another bidder was thinking it was at $30 million, and I can't remember. Maybe another bidder was somewhere else.
So 10% over ask price. At this point.
And so to start, you're bidding against other people. They're offering the asking price too, maybe, and
something. Yeah, I think we all recognize that there was some pretty good upside available.
Yeah.
So for a lot of people that haven't been through these before, you're utilizing brokers to submit these offers. They're supposed to be blind. They're supposed to be best and final. Every single time they're like, yes, submit your best offer. But these, they're maximizing their value. They're trying to get as much money as they can. Their broker's trying to earn their fee, and they're really good at this. So a lot of times they'll come back to you and say, well, give me a better and more final number, and I'll keep this one secret and won't tell anybody. But really, they're probably going back to the other broker and saying, yeah, he's at $30 million. You need to be at $30,500,000. So then you guys are analyzing that. Well, he's probably saying we're at $30 million and telling them to go to $30,500,000.
Yeah,
so you guys are. It's crazy.
Who are you actually buying from? Just an owner, like anybody? Is that?
Well, yeah. I think this was Blackstone. They were, huge.
Yeah, huge. Okay, but you were telling me as this was going on through the last 2 weeks that they wanted to know your LIHTC experience. Why do they care? If they just want to sell this, why do they care about your LIHTC experience?
Good question. You know, they were totally hung up on whether we currently owned LIHTC. I guess you have to be approved on some level to assume ownership or take over a LIHTC property.
You do, because the tax credits you're held liable for, and if you violate the rules of the program, they claw back those tax credits on your personal return.
And you were going to get tax credits just because you bought it, or you had to do something once you bought it?
No,
just because you own it.
Yeah, just because we own it, we have to comply with the regulations. And could it be that if we don't comply, that maybe there's a hang up on the tax credits that's already been given?
Or not even qualified to begin with. It's like doing your first CMBS loan or your first, Fannie Freddie loan. I mean, the first one is always the hardest to get. So I in my opinion, they just didn't want to be held with the bag, assuming they couldn't qualify for the assumption of the properties under that program.
So why do you think this was such a low asking price?
That's a great question too, Brian. I mean, I don't think they weren't really cash flowing that well, and maybe that could be that they were purchased in a part of a bigger portfolio, assets here in Oklahoma that maybe weren't being optimized through management. And they just wanted a quick sale. Maybe because obviously we paid over ask price, so they just offered a low price to generate a bunch of interest and get people bidding, and then we bid it up, which is what we did. To go back to Braden's point, I'm trying to rely on my broker to give me as much information on where the other bids are. Other bidders are doing the same. Yeah. The seller's trying to maximize the price, and so you're just trying to gather as much information as possible and say, okay, we were at 28.5. Now we're at 30,500,000. They were maybe at 30. Okay, they decided to do a sealed best and final. So now we're trying to anticipate. Did they hear our price? How much are they going to go up? And then they're going to anticipate that I'm going to go up, and so then they're going to go up even higher. And then I have to anticipate that they're going to know my price and go up, and so I'm going to jump them. Yeah. It's just a huge game that we played last week, and I tried to do my best to play poker as well as possible. And it came down. I don't know what the final number was. We increased our bid all the way up to almost $32 million.
You could have been higher, dude.
Yeah, we could have been higher. I don't know, but at the end of the day, the other group they owned 2 LIHTC deals currently, and so I guess they figure that hey, these guys are a more sure bet. They already own LIHTC. They're going to get approved, even though we've owned low income housing our entire investing career. I thought that was enough. We have voucher properties. We have OFA properties. We have a mod program with Windsor Village. But in the end of the day, we lost it.
And they just told you lost it? Because I've seen best and final. This is in engineering days. Best and final. But like you say, they have a preferred vendor. And if they're actually not the highest on best and final, they just go to them and say, hey, you're $1 million low.
We think that happened. There's 2 portfolios that we bid on, one in Tulsa and one in Oklahoma City. The first one was Tulsa. We felt like that happened. There was another group that had a bunch of LIHTC experience, and we just kept offering more. And we said, hey, guys, just tell us where the number is. We want these. We really want these. Tell us what we need to pay. And at the end of the day, I think they just kept giving our number to the other people because they had more experience. And they said, guys, you got to match it. You got to match it. That could have happened on this one, or it could have been that they were so close. Maybe the bids were so close they decided to go with the other group because they had LIHTC experience. I mean, there was millions of dollars there, and so for those watching, this happened several times in my investing career, where the deal of the decade comes along, as I say, once a week, and it's those that recognize the value that's in front of them, and they'll move heaven and earth to buy those properties. So you cannot let them slip through your fingers. And I tried not to let this portfolio slip through my fingers. It did. We were over 10% over ask, and then we were 20% over ask. Like, we were doing whatever we could to get it. But I look back in my career. Stephanie Promenade was one I felt like was a deal of the decade, and the 318 unit package was the deal of the decade, and even when we bought Plantation originally, it was the deal of the decade. It's there's
been a lot of deal of the decades just like this that we've completely missed, though.
Yeah,
and I think that's important, because a lot of the times on the show we're talking about all these deals we're doing and all the deals we're buying. And it's fun, but we miss out on a lot of deals because we're trying to swing for the fences. You're trying to buy this $30 million apartment portfolio in Oklahoma City. That's a big nut, and it's a healthy reminder that you're not always going to be the biggest fish in the pond. Somebody else can just swoop up and grab something and use you as a backboard, and that's life. But I feel like you learned something on it.
Yeah, and you learn, and now we're going to hopefully position ourselves. We're going to look into getting a LIHTC deal just because in the future, if another portfolio comes out that there's $10 million to be made, I don't want to be there saying, well, I still don't have any LIHTC experience. And so we're going to try to take those steps. But what I was saying is just when you're in the commercial real estate game, there's a lot of singles and doubles out there, deals that'll just kind of make your returns. But every once in a while, you'll see a deal and you'll know in your gut something's different about this. There's a huge opportunity, a huge upside. And I remember the deal in Norman, the shopping center in Norman, that we could have bought for $10 million and it ended up selling at auction a few months later for $18 million. Just think about $8 million, and we knew there was a lot of profit there, but we just didn't take advantage of it. We didn't convince ourselves it was the deal of the decade, do whatever it takes. And sometimes that's what it takes in this business, because these deals, they come along and then they're gone. And millions of dollars are there ready to be taken. So
anyway, big learning point. If you're jotting down a note or want to learn something from that, from the story, I think the biggest thing is when you're bidding on something, a specific asset, some sort of asset class, you really need to have a compelling story or some sort of competitive experience on your resume. It doesn't have to mean you've been a part of that deal. Like, find an equity partner that's been a part of one of those deals. Find a broker that's been a part of one of those deals. Find a lender. Like, do anything you can to say, I am qualified to buy this asset and prove that. Because at the end of the day, I think that's why you lost the deals, because you didn't have a LIHTC property. It could have been one. It could have been one property and you could have got the portfolio. So, I think that's the lesson there. And that's why on our website, if you go look on our website, all the stuff we buy looks almost the same. So when a broker calls me and says, hey, I've got such and such for sale, I can tell immediately whether they're a good or a bad broker. Immediately. A good broker calls me and says, hey, I looked on your website. I found the shopping center that looks like just like everything else you own. I'm interested, right? Like, I've obviously got a type. Yeah. And then the bad broker is like, yeah, what are you guys interested in? And I'm like, just go to my website. Yeah. Like, everything we're interested in, it fits in this little bucket right here. Like, you either play in that space or you don't play in the space. But
it's the same with getting debt, right? They want to see that the banks or whoever you get the debt from, they want to see your experience, right? They don't want to loan you money if you're doing something that you don't know anything about.
Yeah, if you've never had any commercial loan besides you may have a mortgage on your home, and you go to a bank and you say, I got this deal of the decade. I just need $6 million. And they're going to be like, yeah, but you've never owed anybody more than $500,000 in your whole life. So why are we going to give you $6 million?
But it would be the same thing if we wanted to go do something and think of something insane. I mean, you guys are engineers, so I'm trying, like, that covers a lot of basis. But for a normal person's like starting out, like, if you're not asking yourself the question of, well, what if they say, how can you do this because you've never done it before? Like, if you've never asked yourself that question, you actually haven't done it before, then you're grossly underprepared. Yeah. You've got to have the best freaking answer for that question, guys. Like, that's it.
Yep.
Anyway.
Well, the other thing we're going to go over today is we're entering into December at the end of this week.
Yes.
And so we have a couple of closings that are going to happen before the year's end, and a couple of investments that we're going to be launching. We want to make sure that you guys are aware of those and that you guys can be tracking them on our website and be ready to invest if you have an interest to do so.
Yes. So we've talked about this next deal a bunch. We showed the drone footage. Me and Brian went down to Jacksonville and checked out the site. Joel, unfortunately, couldn't join us. Andy was there with us, though.
Yep.
Got a new developer that I think we're going to do several deals with. We've already got the next kind of wave of deals, which I'm super excited because they're in Tulsa and not Jacksonville. But anyway, we are doing a build-to-suit Starbucks in Jacksonville, Florida, in between a Publix and a Sprouts. Absolutely amazing site. We are launching that right now. It'll probably be open by the time this show is out, and it's a decent equity raise. It's like $1.2 million, I think, so it's not going to sell out, and hopefully it doesn't sell out immediately, and you have a chance to get involved. But just a reminder, how you get access to these opportunities is by being on our investor list, right? We have to have a pre-existing relationship with all of our investors. So by signing up on our website, thecriterionfund.com, and hit join the investor list, you get all of these opportunities. And this first one is going to be the build-to-suit Starbucks in Jacksonville. So great return profile on that one. I'm not going to try to quote it off the top of my head, but $1.2 million equity raise. We're closing on that in December. Super excited about that deal. The next one is with the developer we closed the auto shop with in Vegas. This is a ground lease or a build-to-suit gas station in Carson City.
Carson City.
Yeah, that's right.
Fly into Reno, drive to Carson City.
In Carson City, this is going to be the second deal with that developer. Super great deal. This will launch out. It's kind of being fundraised now. So if you're listening to this and you're thinking, hey, I want access to that, call us and we'll get you access to that. There's another deal. Not sure if we got that one yet, so we'll skip that. There's a redevelopment of a childcare facility in Missouri that is coming up probably end of December, beginning of January. That one looks like it's got a great return profile because it's an existing building. We're just re-tenanting it, brand new 15-year lease, a little bit of TI money, and the credit on that lease is some of the best in the early childhood education space. Nice. So that could be a great little deal. And then end of January, beginning of February, we have another Children of America in Fort Worth, possibly a learning experience, and then a learning experience in Burleson, all before the middle of February. So nice. Several deals, a lot going on, decent equity raises. So we have plenty for everyone to get involved. Wouldn't worry about that.
Yeah, and the last thing I'll mention, I mentioned it before, is if you have money to invest and you're ready to look at deals, let us know so then we can earmark how much money we have on the sideline. It'll help us know how many deals we need to be putting into the pipeline, because obviously we have people that get frustrated when we launch these deals and we fill up and they're like, I want it in. We didn't know you wanted in the next deal, so let us know that, and that way we can start forecasting some of the equity raises and make sure that you get in the deal that you want.
Yeah, so guys, we've got deals from A to O, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, all the way to O. So we've got so many deals that we're looking at, and it's amazing when an investor comes up and says, hey, I'm interested, I want to get involved in the next half a dozen deals. Like, we've got pitch decks for like the next 6 deals. The data is probably wrong in it. I mean, it's probably dangerously close. We're doing assumptions. We're underwriting. We're negotiating. Things change as you're evaluating the deal, but we're typically pretty damn close. So if somebody came to me right now and said, hey, I've got $500,000. I want to get invested with you, or $100,000 over, I'd like to put $25,000 in 4 or 5 different deals with you guys. What do you have available? I can give you a sneak peek at a lot into the future. And if you said, hey, I'll take $25,000 in every single deal, we're starting to take commitments for all of these deals into the future now, even though we haven't officially launched them yet. Because
real quick, the commitment that you'll give us, it's not like it's not able. You're not able to say no once the final numbers come out. This is just a forecast. We're gonna play. It's a placeholder for you. It gives you access, but it doesn't lock you in. But it does help us forecast, and that's good for us when we're starting to line these deals up.
Yeah, we might mention we have people watching the podcast, so they hear about these before the email goes out, and they say, hey, that one sounds interesting. Send me some information. We're doing pitch decks well in advance. Like you say, they're not 100% because we haven't released them yet, but they're close. And so people are starting to hit us up before we ever send out the email. So, and feel free to do that.
Anyway, so much going on. Over the next couple months, we're going to be focused on closing these deals. I think next year we've got the opportunity to sell a ton of assets. We've got assets that we funded, in the previous 6-8 months that are finishing up construction. I know Chipotle and Salad & Go should be open and hopefully on the market by the end of the year. So that's another 2 assets on the market. So really starting to stack these assets up that we need to start disposing of. So hopefully,
Salad & Go's already on the market, right? Haven't we already?
Salad & Go in Owasso is already on the market. Our Salad & Go in Princeton is about to go on the market.
I gotcha.
We're just so many Salad & Go's.
Can't even keep them straight.
I can't.
Well, guys, check out the Polar Plunge video. Hopefully you guys will try that wherever it is that you are. It's a great way to start your day. That's it for today's episode. Thanks, guys.
All right.
Thanks.